Hello, and back with more bookshelf tour. We're definitely securely now into the M's, and we'll most likely not make it out of the M's for a little while here because M seems to be a big concentration of novelists for me. Actually, before we get completely through the M's, let's do an L, which is Jack London, uh, The Star Rover. I have read one Jack London, maybe a couple, maybe two, Call of the Wild or something like this. This is one of these books that I've picked up. It looks like a British corgi, old paperback, and looking at the font, I might actually be able to read it someday. If I don't find it electronically and then be able to zoom in on the thing. This is here for the connoisseur, for the devotees of the SF genre, and for those who like their reading to combine excitement with good writing, is the Corgi Science Fiction Collection Library. And this is the Star Rover. The Star Rover is a remarkable foray into the cosmic and psychological unknown by one of the leading authors of the late 19th century. From the confines of his prison cell, a man escapes into the past and lives again in the bodies of his former incarnations. Sometimes terrified, sometimes euphoric, he learns the secret of accepting his inevitable destiny at the gallows. So yes, I guess that's his mind escaping through the bars there, which it's like I gotta love those '60s covers on a novel that's probably early late is it early 19th century? Probably early 19th century. So yes, little Jack London. Then somebody else who made his forays into science fiction, though started off with other stuff, is Walter Mosley and his Easy Rawlings series, which I read quite a few of. I think I trailed off at a certain point because I felt like these are your money books. Like, he's a really great writer, but I felt like, okay, the Easy Rawling books are probably his money books. He also went into some really freaky kind of science fiction, which it's got that kind of benefit of being somebody outside of science fiction coming in and just sort of doing what they want. And it obviously is a fan of science fiction, um, though not as bottled down as I think a lot of mainstream science fiction is. So that was definitely a thing. And then yes, there's Black Betty, and I'll get to this one. Get to this one later on in our tour, if I can do things. Carmela, and other 12 other classic tales of mystery by Sheridan Le Fon, which I think I'd read a little bit of and went, oh, okay, this is definitely kind of a little bit more of a kind of a clotted writing. He is he has a Victorian writer. I'll see if I get back to that. It was interesting. Then going completely the opposite is my selection of Elmore Leonard, which I read a couple of Elmore Leonards and really just enjoyed how fast he's a pulp writer. He's also just a really good writer whose rule was basically leave out all the boring bits. Is able to do a massive amount of characterization just through dialogue. Um, Definitely working in a lot of times just in kind of stereotype in genre, in like detective or crime fiction, in westerns. I haven't actually tried any of his westerns, but so yeah, I picked up a good hunk of his Maximum Bob, the Moonshine War, Out of Sight, which I really, really enjoyed the movie of, and actually I think I read the book too. It was really enjoyed the book. Clooney and Jennifer Lopez at their best, probably, uh, writing the rap, and Pagan Babies. So this is all kind of pleasures of Elmer Leonard. I just like picking up these just to have as like, oh, I need something to kind of cleanse my palate in some ways. And Leonard is really good at just telling a story and telling it fast and telling it really strong and quickly. Then I've got my Michael Moorcock little selection here. Which are, I think these are more of his kind of literary ones. A Cure for Cancer. Uh, Literary in the sense of Michael Moorcock was definitely a pulp writer, but he also transitioned into the new wave fiction. Michael Moorcock, The Adventures of Una Persone and Catherine Cornelius in the 20th Century, with a very, very '60s lurid cover. The Ice Schooner, which I think is back more in his kind of the pulp roots. The Black Corridor. I just also just love some of these covers. They're just gorgeous covers. Um, the Rituals of Infinity and the Condition of Music. This is all kind of jumbled up in different orders. We've got Fritz Lieber, who is known best for his Mauser, the Gray Mauser series, or was it? I can't remember the two fellows, but this is, I think, a little bit of his. Fritz Lieber, Scully LaCruz was a thin, a muscleless free-fall phenomenon whose home was the sack circling the moon. So it's him doing his science fiction, a classic by the winner of 5 Hugo Awards. So yes, Fritz Lieber with his my $1.25 for that. And then here we'll stop probably here because yes, my arm will fall off, which is my Tanith Lee collection, because I got into a bit of Tanith Lee, decided I liked her, and started scouring secondhand bookstores for her. So I have a whole big selection of them, some of which I've read, and some of which I have just held on my shelves for years and years. Being a daring tale of a singular girl's adventure upon the high seas, Piratica. The White Serpent, which is more, I think, Lee in her she is Aztira, one of the magical Animarakan race, a pure white albino with powers both mysterious and terrifying. She can grant life and defy death, enchant men, or destroy them. So yes, the white. Oh, is that the White Witch? Okay, the White Serpent. This is actually probably a part of a series. Which do I have the other ones here? Yes, the Volcanar and Volcanar and Dark Castle White Horse. I can't remember if that's in the same series of books. And then I've got a bunch of other ones. The Silver Metal Lover, Don't Bite the Sun, Companions on the Road. These are all books I should really get to. Siron and drinking sapphire wine. I either get to or I'll find out I've outgrown them, and which would be a shame. But okay, that was a one giant pile of paperbacks, some of which I've read all of, some of which I've read hardly any of, and I'm really looking forward to. Or I should try them and just get rid of them or put them aside. Lee is like one of those really underrated fantasy authors. Maybe because she's a woman, maybe because she was kind of a little bit before her time. I don't know, but she's definitely one that I should go back to and do more of. She passed away a couple of years ago, unfortunately, without particularly having had a publishing contract for the longest of time. I think she was one of those mid-list authors who got just squeezed out of the business there at the end, which is really sad. But yeah, I can read her books now and try and see capture some of that excitement. I don't know what else I'm going to say, but yes, other than my arm's tired. End of bookshelf tour.